In this video, we're going to be preparing to fight, get this, a dragon. Yeah, you heard me. This is going to be a series where we progress pretty quick, or at least we are for now. If you want to see that, make sure to subscribe because that's going to be happening in the next episode. But yeah, without further ado, let's get started. Day 1 of prep work begins with working on the base a little bit and making 2 new weapons, the 2-Cuts Bulger. This is so I have a faster attack in comparison to my slower but heavier hitting main weapon. I can dual wield them thanks to Epic Fight mod and pretty effectively, might I add. I ventured out into the southeast searching for loot and leather, but just as importantly, our main foe, dragons. After a journey into a dungeon house that ends with my untimely demise, I work on an underground section of the base, the faction room. The faction room introduces 2 new pieces of the lore puzzle. Grim Shadow, the pillager faction whose roots lie in the darkness and destruction of the world as we know it, as well as the Restoration, which is the group we belong to. The Restoration focuses on restoring the world to its former glory, or at least saving what's left of it. I also constructed a little prison with 2 cells to accommodate our vanquished enemies. Then I set out again, hoping to find even better loot in the unexplored reaches of the dungeons, which was quickly cut short by an explosive ending. So I traveled southwest instead, to a conjoined shipwreck and a dungeon tower, as opposed to our typical dungeon house, and got completely destroyed by 4 skeletons fighting me in one singular attack. I found sheep shortly afterwards and trapped them in the prison while I made them a pen. I promise I went back and did that later, and the sheep were just fine until then. Yes, they were in a cell, but they had water. Or not, I suppose. That's fine. I'm sure there were criminals or something. I definitely have a justifiable reason to store them in a prison other than I have nowhere else to put them. I just don't have that reason anymore. I'm pretty sure my dog ate it. After detaining the fluffy friends who would provide me with many banners of the Restoration, I traveled back northeast to search once more for Lizzie Boys, loot, and leather. Especially leather. Cows seem suddenly scarce, and I don't know why. They must be conspiring with the dragons! Yeah! I found something much more important than cows, though. Horses. And I just so happen to be a saddle owner. We'll get back to the horses. The first thing I want to do is to free the ruin being held by Grim Shadow. After freeing it, I made sure to get severely injured on their property so I could steal their insurance money and get home. I returned to the horses and at some point picked up a dog, picked out the best one, and continued northeast. Very quickly, I hit the ocean, but I wasn't going to let that stop me. I went from knight to pirate and took down a pillager ship with, admittedly some effort, and looted it for all it was worth. Unfortunately, my time as Menace of the Sea was cut short by a purple snake-like homeowner who got angry with me for trespassing on their property. They just so happened to be an officer and escorted me home. If only I was the second coolest Penguin Heirs, who's definitely not a very popular YouTuber known for the 100 Days series. The first is obviously the Pacific Meg, who's definitely not the Atlantic Raptor, right? Okay, fine, you caught me. I'm talking about the Atlantic Crafting skins. That being said, I ended off the day by building a stable. It is a very bad stable that I threw together in like 5 minutes. I've designed a better one in a creative world, which will be built sometime in the future. I don't know when that's gonna be. I ended the stream, which you can, by the way, catch live. I do the gameplay and editing over on Twitch, which is linked in the description. And after stream, brought my horse and my dog home. Day 2 begins with a little Obsidian Mining and realizing that, oh my gosh, I missed a dragon's nest right below where I was searching. I immediately traveled out to it and gathered more obsidian so that I could go to the nether and gather the most important item in this fight, fire resistance potions. See, our foe is going to be a fire dragon, as opposed to an ice or lightning, or even poison because I'm pretty sure that one exists. Fire dragons breathe, well, fire. Fire resistance makes you immune to fire, but it also works for fire-based damage, such as lava and dragon's breath. Yes, you heard me. One of the most powerful attacks by our enemy is rendered useless by a glass of orange juice. After gathering enough obsidian, I noticed the nest was right over the hill ahead of the ruined portal, and I eagerly ran over to it to find no dragon in sight. I was confused. I mean, I could loot the chest in peace, I guess. Once I finished looting, I turned out to be very wrong. There was a dragon, and it just returned home to find me robbing it. Like any homeowner, it was angry someone broke into their house and robbed them of most of their possessions. Clearly this dragon was American, because rather than call the police, they blasted me with their gun. Except it wasn't a gun. It was its breath, which spits more fire than every SoundCloud rapper. Needless to say, Gordon Ramsay would be happy, because I was definitely not undercooked. Upon respawning, I made myself a better main weapon, one that does 14 damage per hit as opposed to the 10 or 12 mice I handed it. That's right, I made a mighty halberd. With a stroke of confidence, I constructed a portal to the nether and died trying to find an actual biome because I spawned in an empty ravine. Following that absolute confidence shredder, I read up on lightning dragons, who I was somewhat unfamiliar with because it's a part of the 1.16 version. I'm more familiar with the 1.12 too. I kid you not, I spent 4 minutes reading that section and it provided me with minimal new info. But now I knew where they reside: savannas, mesas, and jungles. Even more exciting, they were nocturnal. Normally this means that they sleep during the day and come alive at night. However, because of this mod pack, it's always the same time, and in this world, it's day. Which means if I don't mess with them, they can't mess with me. Oh, and I found out you could breed dragons, which was a shock to me. I genuinely didn't know you could. Following this great revelation, I went to the nether and died, but not before finding where the Crimson Forest actually was. I of course went back, but I kept getting bothered by mosquitoes large enough to blind you if they covered your face. I died because, of course I did, and worked on a mine. I found a ravine which led to an unbelievable amount of diamonds, a crypt-like area, and a skeleton spawner. I kid you not, I spent the next hour exploring this place because there seemed to be no end. During the last half hour of my stream, I made a simple little skeleton spawner to farm for easy XP. At least that's what I thought. I thought it was going to be easy XP, and I turned out to be wrong, but oh well, it works. It does provide XP. In between days 2 and 3, I farmed for XP. And when I say farmed, I mean farmed. I got so many bones, I made a room out of bone blocks. Now, between days 2 and 3, I added Spartan weaponry. Why? Because apparently there's only one bow in this game. Well, technically 3, but one is uncraftable and the other is made of dragon bones, which is basically uncraftable at this point. I made a diamond quiver and diamond strengthened longbow. These two are easily my new favorite tools in my arsenal. After making these, I journeyed northwest, a direction I haven't searched. And search I did. I traveled 15,000 blocks X and 15,000 Y in the end, so here's the journey. 40 minutes in, I hit another ocean with a serpent not far offshore. I blocked up my horse and began opening fire on it. In the open. With no strategy. Like an idiot. The silver-sized Gyarados killed me, and the local ecosystem as well, and now I was mad. It's one thing if you kill me, but if an ecosystem is going to die, it better be by my hands alone and either for profit or for building. You know, like a capitalist. Of course, I made the journey back by foot. It was slow and painful for me. I made it back, but this time, I had a plan. I was going to cheese this serpent by abusing its bloodlust. I dug a trench in the beach a little staircase down, and started opening fire on it. I retreated inside my little bunker, and shot at it as it was stuck above me. You see, sea serpents will leap out of the water to get you, which makes the sea part very deceiving. You aren't safe on land. Naturally, I used this to my advantage, and made it leap out onto the hill and beach above me so that I could get an easy finish with my handy new bow. After defeating it, I ended up journeying into the high mountains, hoping maybe to find an ice dragon at a healthy distance. I did not find an ice dragon, but I did find some Naga from the Mousy's Mobs mod. Not the snake-looking creature in, the Twilight Forest mod. It's more like a Walmart brand poison dragon. Needless to say, they're annoying and hard to hit. I ended up taking out probably 7 or 8 before deciding I beat them all, and left to hunt better prey. I tried my hand at what is apparently called a Kakalot whale. It one-shot me. I think this thing could solo a dragon if it got close enough. We could test that theory another time. Right now, let's finish our story. I ended up deciding to go to the nether. I tried finding a fortress and failed, but I did find a bastion and I had fun looting it. Rather than doing a voiceover, let's do a montage instead. As you can see, I fell in lava quite a bit, and it was frustrating. After conquering the bastion, I traded with the piglin, got some arrows, obsidian, a few barrels, but most importantly, 3 fire resistance potions, each 3 minutes. That meant I had 9 minutes of fire res, which was more than enough to take on the dragon we saw earlier in the video. I went back out to fight 2 more sea serpents, one I easily destroyed from the shore, and the second one... I think I'm just gonna let that clip speak for itself. Digging, and it seems to have spotted me. Just run. It's trying to intercept me. I'm not a football. Oh dear. Dear Lord. Oh boy. No. Go away. It's nice to know that he can hit me from, like, the sea all the way, like, that far out. There's that punk. You keep your distance. I'm staying on the land where I'm safe. To a degree. No. You keep your distance. That's right. You don't want to square up. And that is it for this video. I had trouble figuring out how I was going to record it, but I ended up going for this voiceover and script to do it. This whole script was made over on my Twitch, so if you want sneak peeks and how the videos coming along, or to influence the content itself, make sure to go over to there. I stream at these times doing these things. Or at least, I usually do. I do hope you did enjoy. If you did, like, subscribe, comment, what you think I should do next. I'm still figuring out this whole YouTube thing, and feedback is greatly appreciated. If you enjoy it, YouTube recommends this video on your left, or if you want to watch the rest of the series, the playlist is on the right.